Hello humans, and welcome to my latest video where I'm telling you all the statistics of the cars you recommended from my last video. Now, before I get started, I should mention that if you're not into data and statistics, you'll find this video very boring. There are no Hummers on the racetrack in this video. There are no skylines going backwards at a drive-thru. If you're not into numbers, this video will be like talking to old people about the weather. Let's get started. Before we get started with the interesting numbers, the total. I got about 6,400 suggestions. Unfortunately, I couldn't write all of them down because YouTube only lets you look at 800 comments at once, which is about all the YouTube comments you really need to look at. Actually, 12 is about all the YouTube comments you really need to look at. Anyway, the numbers are these. I got 1,693 suggestions from Jalopnik, 1,003... Here, you can read. But of course, what you're really wondering is what cars had the highest totals. And I'm going to show you. And for those of you who don't know that much about these cars, I'm also going to act them out for you. Week 12. It was a great car. Nothing interesting happened. Yeah, it's the car from Back to the Future. Yeah. No, I don't have a flex capacitor. Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, okay. Yo, this thing is JDM tight. Yo, you see that wing? That car is sick. Yes, sir. The total for that repair came to $963.74, and also we found a loose sprocket, and so that'll be $1,284.50. Cash or credit? I'm sorry, officer. I don't even know what happened. One minute I was driving, and the next thing I put my foot down, and it ended up in Lake Ontario. Oh yeah, I got one of those Teslas, and I also got a cool vanity plate. Yeah, man, just give me 1 second. I gotta break up with my girl with a text message. It's small! Hi, I'm wondering if you'll work on a car that I have. Hi, do you work on unusual cars? Hi, yeah, my car caught on fire and I was wondering if you might be able to work on it. Lancia Delta Integrale? Hello? Hello? Week 8. The mechanic says it'll be done any month now. June, he's thinking. Maybe August. The name's DeMuro. Doug DeMuro. I wrote a book. It's on Amazon, or paperback, or whichever you fancy. Bonjour, je m'appelle Doug. Mon voiture is on a tow truck. Now, you might be wondering what country's cars were the highest suggested. I'm not going to act these out for fear of touching off mass demonstrations of offended college students. But here are the numbers. And what about body styles like coupe and convertible, hatchback? I have those numbers too, and you'll be happy to know that 5 people suggested a hearse. Era of vehicle? I have those numbers also. And what about the most popular brands? And now on to some of the more interesting numbers. For example, about 18% of the cars suggested hailed from the 1990s, but only 13% of Jalopnik suggestions hailed from the 1990s, whereas 26% of YouTube suggestions hailed from the 1990s. You YouTubers really like your 90s cars, don't you? And then there were the differences in country across platform. For example, only 3.78% of the cars suggested were French, but Jalopnik suggested 5.26% French cars. That's an increase of 40% French cars for Jalopnik. And it's the same story with Japan and YouTube. Only 16.34% of cars suggested overall were Japanese, but more than 30% of YouTube suggestions were Japanese cars. You like them JDM, don't you, YouTube? Speaking of YouTube, you do not really like British cars. 18% of suggestions were British, but YouTube only had 11% British suggestions. Come on, British cars are great, unless you own one. And finally, I leave you with the most popular cars across each platform. These statistics are pretty interesting because it shows the preferences of people on different areas of the internet. So what is my new car? I'm not sure just yet, but we will find out very, very soon.